What have you got?
I can't say yet. Not till I have more proof. Why? What have you got?
Let's just say my instincts tell me something's not quite right. Bring me something solid.
I have something solid.
More solid. And I'll know what to do with it.
You'll know what to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Carmine?
Good.
Not bad. I'll see you on the campus.
I got one really important question for you. What is a bigger violation? Seagal trying to hook up or be with his boss while she's in the middle of a date? Or the fact that he ate the date's dinner directly off of his plate the minute the guy went to the bathroom and then said, it's okay.
I don't know, it's a tough one, but there's no bigger jerk move than eating off of someone else's plate, especially a guy that you're trying to alpha and steal his girlfriend off of.
Take a walk,
Do you agree?
buddy. Take a walk, buddy.
He told him to take a walk and then proceeded to eat his meal and then dismissed it as, it's okay.
After the weird flirtation that probably... there's got to be some deleted scene in this movie somewhere that we're not seeing, but complete violation, in my opinion, that this guy did this, and it's just not cool.
I feel like that actress, just like me, is disgusted at the idea of Steven Seagal having a relationship with anyone.
At least Tom
gross.
Berenger had the decency to like hide behind the bar and make a phone call. You know, he just strolls right up into him.
Yeah, what's worse? Is it faking the phone call or just flat out going up to the guy and intimidating him? I almost respect the intimidation factor better than the spineless act of Jake Taylor.
At least he was direct about it, right?
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to the Last Row Podcast. This is episode 103. Happy to be back with you all. If you are new to the show and you're looking for our website, thelastrow.podcast.com.
Speak for yourself.
Follow us on Twitter at The Last Row Pod, Facebook.com/The Last Row Pod, Instagram, wherever you are on social media, we're probably there too. Head out to Spotify, consider leaving us a 5-star review, both there, Apple Podcasts and Podchaser. Hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying the show. Welcome back, Badway. I'm excited. We got another Steven Seagal movie on the plate here.
Yeah, just like Steven said in his anger management class in this movie. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm the happiest guy. You'd be lucky to be as happy as I am right now. So
it is midnight.
So we are happy to have you here. So Exit Wounds, Drew. This is one of my favorite movies of the early 2000s. One of my favorite Seagal movies. 2001, March 16th to be exact, with a runtime of 101 minutes, which is pretty much perfect.
Perfect. Just right.
Action/crime/Seagal movie directed by Andrei Bartkowiak. Drew, what do you know about Andrea Bartkowiak?
I know that he's got a pretty sweet trilogy of movies like this, and I thought he did a pretty good job, to be honest. I thought he directed well.
Yeah, I mean, there were flaws in this movie, and it wasn't his fault. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. There's one big flaw.
Yeah.
The movie did well despite it.
I mean, he directed Romeo Must Die. He directed Cradle to the Grave. What else did he direct, Drew? He directed Doom.
Ooh.
And Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li.
Oh.
The classic.
The classic Chris Klein movie.
Chris Klein role.
If he couldn't save that guy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he did that one too.
Anyways.
When they were going to make spin-offs for that, and they just decided, maybe
that
that's
died
not a good
right
idea.
away. Chris Klein killed that idea. 5.6 IMDb out of 10, which is
too low.
Actually,
probably just about right.
It's probably about right. Rotten Tomato 33%.
Too low.
Too low. Metacritic 39%.
Too low.
Yeah, too low. Yeah. Letterboxd 2.5 out of 5.
Way too low. Come on.
Nah, that's probably just about right.
Too low. Too low.
I think 50% is like the sweet spot for this movie.
What did you give into the Spider-Verse? 2.5.
Fucking 2.2 if I could. I don't know. It was fine.
You liked it. But did you like it?
I liked it, and it was good. But Steven Seagal stars as a maverick police Detroit detective, Oren Boyd. Is it Oren or Orin?
Orin.
Or is it Oren?
Orion.
Stupid name. If you're out there listening, your name is Oren. Yeah, stupid name. Who's take no prisoners approach.
Unsubscribe.
Please leave a 5-star review.
0 review. 0 star.
Like I'm playing heel today. All right. Take no prisoners. Approach to domestic terrorism gets him booted downtown to the city's toughest precinct. Multi-platinum hip-hop star DMX Arf Arf stars as the powerful and mysterious crime lord Latrell Walker, which, by the way, fantastic name.
It's a great name.
Yeah. Whose dicey connections and seemingly unlimited cash make him everyone's target. Together, the two men take on a conspiracy that reaches all the way through the ranks up to the heart of the precinct. Rated R.
That's not our typical synopsis there. I don't know. I just copied the first one. It was more like, I don't like when it's written that way, where it says they're starring as and they go around to the real one. I like when they put the actor name in parentheses. That's my favorite kind.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's a pretty accurate one for the most part,
not bad.
right? So taglines. What can two men do against a gang of crooked cops? Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
I like when they call somebody crooked. I think it's good. Crooked cops. It's a good way to describe it.
Crooked cop is dirty cop. Crooked cop is better than dirty cop.
Dirty cop, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Crooked is like it's a better way to say it. Yeah. And then straight from the movie poster, quote, "This is gonna hurt."
I mean,
like that. It's a play on Exit Wounds.
I mean, you could put that in a million different movies. Like, it's very generic. Come on now, come on.
You know, so the budget. So they spent $33 million on a warehouse with like play sets where they just pulled like scenery in and out of this thing, right? I mean,
it did look like that.
It looked like the same warehouse floor that they used, and like when they showed the club was the same floor. The club's office looked like a place that you have a pizza party at like a movie theater, or you have like a pizza party, you know, or you go to like a trampoline park, you know, they have the room for like a kid's birthday party.
Yep.
I mean, they had eels, so that was cool, and I guess that they got eels in a fish tank and sharks, but they just like wheeled that in. And then when they were done with that, they wheeled that out and they put the other stuff in. It just looked pretty. Very set pieces left a lot to be desired.
Very television studio-esque.
Yeah. And the way it was shot just looked a little like low budget, in my opinion. I don't know where they spent the $33 million, but it just was weird, right?
Seagal's hair markers, maybe
the Sharpie, the $30 million Sharpie.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Sharpies. You buy them in bulk, though. I mean, it probably saves some money. But.
So it cost $33 million to make, which is the equivalent of 52 in 2022 here, and it made $80 million, which is actually pretty good because Seagal took a 3-year hiatus. This is the first movie he made in 3 years, and they were saying that this was sort of his comeback. But you know, making $80 million is about 128 today. It's a decent return on the investment, I think, even though it got like mixed reviews.
Yeah, I mean, can I say something here now?
Yeah,
I mean, we'll get into it. We'll get to that later. You know, we always get to that later. I feel like they made the money because DMX was in it.
Probably.
Not because of Steven Seagal. I think Seagal was definitely past his prime. I don't think anybody cared about him in 2002. 2001.
Early time, right?
But in 2001, DMX was hot.
Huge.
Yeah. So I think that you give DMX his movie and then sprinkle in like a washed up action star or, you know, 1 foot in the tub. And it's going to make some money.
He was all soaked up, man. He was
yeah. They released it at the perfect time. It was in March before the summer blockbusters hit. Nothing's going on.
Yeah.
It was very, very well marketed.
It was
timed. Very well marketed.
$8. I watched this in the theater and I loved it. I remember watching it. Like the scene with him and the shotgun on the belt. Yeah. Like that stands, it's imprinted into my memory of, I remember the theater I was in when I was watching this. I really enjoyed this movie when I saw it.
Isn't it funny that you have to work almost like 2 hours at your former job to be able to afford to watch a movie? It's like you have to work the runtime of the movie. Yeah.
Too low, too high.
Too low.
I can't afford that movie.
Yeah, Drew's movie theater salary, too low.
Yeah. It's crazy. So too low. Award highlights. I won't go into details on this, but I'll give you a couple. So it was nominated for a Golden Trailer Award for Best Music.
Go. See? Marketing. Boom.
Yep. And I got to be honest, this had a good soundtrack. So
ain't no sunshine when there's gone.
It had some pretty stiff competition. It lost to the Royal Tenenbaums, but Spider-Man, remember Spider-Man had a pretty good soundtrack.
Like Spider-Man 1?
Yeah. It had like Sum 41. Yeah. Remember all those songs?
Yeah.
It was good. Moulin Rouge, a bunch of other ones. But this lost to Royal Tenenbaums, which I guess is like the Wes Anderson style soundtrack, but stiff competition here.
Mm-hmm.
And then DMX was nominated for a MTV Movie and TV Award for Best Breakthrough Male Performance, and
Sure.
he lost to a little-known actor named Orlando Bloom for Lord of the Rings.
I've never seen that movie, so I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it's good.
It was up against Harry Potter, Colin Hanks, and Paul Walker. That again, stiff competition.
Dude, everyone knows, like, we love the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah.
Paul Walker, specifically in the first Fast and Furious movie, was terrible.
He was awful.
They're lucky they got a second one because he was so bad in the first one. Vin Diesel acted circles around him.
He did, which is saying something.
God rest Paul Walker's soul.
Yeah, R.I.P. And then in 2001, it was nominated for an MTV VMA for No Sunshine for DMX, and it lost to Moulin Rouge.
Not fair. Not fair.
The Lady Marmalade or whatever the song was.
How you gonna beat that?
You can't, right? And it was also up against U2 Elevation, which apparently was a song in Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Had no idea.
Yeah.
Casey and JoJo, Save the Last Dance, and Destiny's Child.
Yeah.
And then, which this is the most important one here, Steven Seagal was nominated for the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards for Worst Actor. He lost to Tom Green for Freddie Got Fingered, but his competition was also Kevin Costner, 3,000 Miles to Graceland, Sylvester Stallone from Driven, and David Spade from Joe Dirt. Now, who do you think should have won there?
I don't know, man. So the only movie I haven't seen out of all that is Driven. I gotta say, I liked all those movies.
Yeah.
And I think this is just, these people don't know what they're talking about. Freddie Got Fingered is secretly genius.
It is.
It's just they didn't get it. Just because they didn't get it doesn't mean that he's bad. And even if you want to call the movie bad, I don't think he acted poorly in it.
He acted as he was supposed to act.
Yes.
He
actually great.
acted the way he was supposed to.
He was actually great in it. And don't even get me started on Joe Dirt. It's one of my favorite movies. I would give it to Steven Seagal, probably.
This movie was good despite him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He's not very good, is he?
Yeah. And
at this point.
Speaking of that, you can't listen to Last Row Podcast without some hard-hitting analysis. So we're going to welcome you back to another episode of Steven Seagal as a Creep and a Jerk.
Oh.
Episode 4? I don't know
5?
which one this
4,
is.
5?
We've done
this
a
might
bunch
be
of
our
movies.
4th or 5th.
We did Under Siege 2. We did Mark for Death. We did Exit Wounds Now. And we did
Hard to Kill.
Out for Justice and Hard to Kill.
Hard to Kill. This is 5.
Yeah. Man, he might be our most acted actor.
Our most acted actor. It's either him or Schwarzenegger, one or the other.
Him or Schwarzenegger, the triumphant return of Steven Seagal. So anyway, welcome back to another episode of Steven Seagal's A Creep and a Jerk, starring Drew and Badway. So the first thing that I saw that just really stood out was, and this is straight from IMDb, so of course it's true, right?
Yeah.
DMX did not enjoy working with Steven Seagal, describing him as a, quote, and I'm not saying this is DMX said this, quote, dickhead.
Actually, we have the audio of DMX saying this, and we're going to play it for you right now. I was acting with Steven Seagal. He was a big dickhead. He was a dickhead.
He was.
That was Steven. That was DMX.
Is it hard to believe? I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Not at all. I mean, it's been well documented that he's difficult, if not impossible, to work with, and you just kind of got to let him go.
Yeah.
And in these situations where now he's in this movie with people that are better than him.
This is a star-studded cast.
DMX is a bigger star than Steven Seagal at this point, even though it's his first real movie, right? Other than Belly, really. You got Tom Arnold, who obviously has been around the block and back. Anthony Anderson, up and coming star.
Michael Jai White. Michael
Jai White's been around the block. These people are better than him at this point.
You got the head of the TEC from Time Cop, the guy who's the triumphant return of him.
Yeah.
The guy, the boss. You got freaking Bill Dukes. Bill
Dukes. Yep.
He's back again too.
But guys like Bill Dukes, they're just side characters that forever have let people like Steven Seagal just run amok. So,
yeah.
But really, at this point, Steven Seagal acting a fool on set should not be tolerated by the likes of Tom Arnold and Anthony Anderson. But they might think it's just too funny to check.
Cannot sanction his buffoonery.
Yeah, as we're about to get into in this next section. So there is a famous Tom Arnold story that you may or may not have heard if you're a buff of this movie or even a casual enjoyer of this movie, where they're on a houseboat, right? They're about to shoot the scene, and the director's like, "All right, guys, can we please have a quick rehearsal of this scene. So it's for the blocking. So we have a bunch of cameras set up. We want to make sure this is all right. And Steve Seagal, no, I don't rehearse. I do it on the fly. We got to shoot it live. And the guy's like, come on, Steve, please. And so, no, I can't do it.
Please.
So he goes on for about 45 minutes arguing with the director about how he doesn't rehearse. In that 45 minutes, Drew, how many times could they have rehearsed the scene?
Yeah, like at least 10.
Like at least 10 times, right?
It was like a 10-second scene, too.
Yeah. So Steven Seagal goes on and on about how he doesn't rehearse. So the director finally gives in and says, all right, roll camera, screw it. And Seagal gets up from his chair and he says, I'm going to go down. I'm going to kill your whole effing family. Because he's so furious of the director, right? So then he takes a step and he goes towards the door. But Seagal, having not rehearsed the scene, doesn't understand. Now remember, they're on a houseboat. The door he's walking towards leads towards the ocean. And Tom Arnold knows it, and Anthony Anderson knows it, the director knows it, and none of them say a word. They just watch him and let him go. Walks towards the door, opens the door, takes one step, sees the ocean. Oh shit, too late. Momentum, splash. Steven Seagal's in the ocean.
Yeah. Well, and wasn't there a whole part of this where
that's what you get?
Tom Arnold was talking about how they wanted him to wear a hairpiece and he wouldn't do it or something. And he winds up like Sharpieing in his hair at this point because he got rid of his ponytail.
Yeah. So there's no ponytail and like he's balding. So, but he like uses, I don't know if it's a Sharpie or if it's some kind of
that like hair spray,
hair specific marker. So where you can even see in the movie, there's like something about his hairline just isn't right. It's not natural. So that he's in the water now, his hair's all screwed up. And he's overweight. So it's like nobody can like, it takes a couple guys to help get him out of the damn water.
I got a link to the video because there's a video of him telling, I think, Huffington Post this story.
Yeah,
he
Tom
told
Arnold,
it again. Yeah. And the way that he describes it is so funny because he keeps validating or qualifying like, you know, Steven Seagal is doing this thing. He's a really nice guy, bro. Yeah. I really like him. He's a great guy.
Full of shit. Like he definitely,
He keeps qualifying it, and it's so funny. And like Tom Arnold, we were talking about this before we recorded. I don't know what happened to Tom Arnold where people looked at him like at some point in the 90s where he was sort of like, quote, like a joke.
Yeah.
But he is funny as hell, man. Yeah. Tom Arnold is just hilarious.
Quick-witted, hilarious. I just thought it was hilarious how he called Steve Seagal out like in the nicest way possible. Like, you know, Seagal, like he's a really sensitive guy. So like he'll see me tell the story and be like, hey, why would you tell that story? He'll feel embarrassed. And I can see that being totally true.
Yeah.
About him being totally self-conscious. He's like, he probably lives his life self-consciously.
Yeah.
To where always worried about what people think of him and keeping up this persona, even at this late stage of his life, I bet.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of Tom Arnold, so let me ask you this. Here's a question, and it's tied back into the same stuff that we're talking about here, the creep and a jerk thing. Is this a violation? So, Steven Seagal guested on Roseanne back in the day. He was himself, I believe, on there, and he had a Roseanne complete series box set signed by Roseanne, and he lost this thing in a move. So he bought a new one, and he kept pressuring Tom Arnold to help him get this signed. Now, I believe that they got divorced in like 1994 or something, and this is 2001. Like, is your prized possession like a Roseanne Barr signed like box set of DVDs or something? Like, is this like Ray Romano signing like Everybody Loves Raymond? Like,
it's not even that. It's like you're pestering a guy to go contact his ex-wife for an autograph for a washed up action star. And it's kind of funny. Like, you know, if they have any kind of relationship, it'd be like a really funny thing. Like, hey, Roseanne, hey, Steve Seagal wants your autograph. It's kind of funny, right? But yeah, it's a total violation.
Like, I'm just imagining like you got divorced and I'm asking you to get this thing signed like, 10 years later.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, that ship has sailed.
So that, and the other one, so I promise we won't spend an hour on this, but there's too many, like this movie, let's just say this now. Okay, look, there's not a lot happening in this movie. I mean, there's a lot happening in this movie, but there's not a lot happening in this movie. It's a great movie, but there's so many things that are like interesting about this, and we don't typically spend a lot on the trivia or the behind the scenes stuff, but I'm like fascinated by the making of this movie and all the random crap that's like behind the scenes. So let me ask you this. Yeah. So similar to the last one, is this a violation? Is this lazy or is this genius? So
Okay.
you just got done telling the story about how he doesn't practice anything, doesn't rehearse anything, right?
I don't rehearse.
So according to Steven Quadros, I don't even know who that is. I should know this. I looked at it. It's probably the fight choreographer or something.
Yeah,
So it said the fight scene between Steven Seagal and Michael Jai White, which is actually a pretty good fight where they had like the swords and stuff.
Yeah.
It was not choreographed in advance, and Seagal and White ad-libbed it during production. So they didn't like you ever watch behind the scenes DVDs of people doing fight choreography? Like they spend months and stuff on some of this. Like I'm not saying it looked like the most like believable fight ever, but it didn't look like they were just he picked this up and they're just messing around. Like you and me pretend to have a fight.
It's standard practice. You go through it slow motion. You know what the other guy's going to do. There's no surprises. It's not like it's wrestling. It's like you have. It's not live, so you have the time. You might as well use it.
How long is a movie in pre-production? You know, like, maybe we should figure this fight out. It's like the climax of the movie. Like I can't imagine how they wouldn't want to. I mean, I guess he wanted it to look as natural as possible, but I don't know.
I would wager a large amount of money that Michael Jai White would rather have rehearsed it a lot beforehand. But Seagal, I don't rehearse.
I don't know. And we mentioned earlier this was his return to movies after 3 years. So and IMDb says this, so I didn't write this, but it says that he slimmed down, updated his wardrobe, and ditched his trademark ponytail. So would this movie have been better off with a ponytail or not? Like,
No.
would it suit him?
There was no room in 2001 for Steven Seagal ponytail. That ship had sailed. I feel.
What do you think his most iconic look is? I have a thought, but what do you think it is?
Oh, I definitely think it's his heyday. I mean, I feel like it's you give him a ponytail, little Mark for Death action. I don't know. What were you thinking?
That's the one I think of. I think of the cover of Mark for Death where he's got the tight jeans, the giant puffy bomber jacket, and you can see the gun and the silhouette of the ponytail, and it's like dripping wet.
I like puffy bomber jacket better than like vest with no shirt.
Yeah.
From Out for Justice. Like, I like that look, but that's not as Seagal as puffy bomber jacket.
Like where he's just got the random military beret and he's like a cop like on the streets. It makes no sense. So
now speaking of, you mentioned something. He slimmed down, which is an overstatement, probably.
Yes.
But I'm not knocking him. Like he definitely gained some weight, and then he looked okay in this. Like you could tell he was hiding a little tummy there. But how about we try this one on for size? Maybe he didn't choreograph or practice the fight with Michael Jai White because he was intimidated by how ripped and in shape Michael Jai White was, and he's a legitimate black belt who can kick your ass. And maybe the fact that it's not choreographed in his mind would keep Michael Jai White off balance.
Yeah, keep him on his toes.
Keep him on his toes to give Seagal the upper hand, to not make Seagal look like an amateur.
He doesn't know the moves. Yeah. He doesn't know what he's going to do.
So if they both don't know the moves together, then it's going to be awkward for both of them.
Michael Jai White can't outshine him.
Yeah, because if there was any kind of practice to go on before, Seagal wasn't doing it and Jai would have made him look like an amateur.
I like your theory. Dude, he is... You ever hear the term ripping out of your skin?
Yeah.
Like he was ripping, his skin was too tight for his muscles.
Yeah, he needed to like upgrade his skin size because he's wearing too small a size of skin. Like Jai White.
His skin, he was ripped. Like, I mean, I like him as an actor, by the way. He's really good. And he was
he's
sort
a great
of
that guy.
underused in this.
Great that guy.
A great actor too. He's really good. So there's another thing we need to talk about behind the scenes here. Did you know this, by the way, the Eva Mendes dubbing incident? Did you know about this?
No,
before
I had no
this?
idea. Until you
So I saw this movie in the theater, and it was probably one of the first movies I've seen Eva Mendes in, because I think it's one of her earlier movies, and I didn't think anything of it.
I think she was in Training Day, which I think was 2000.
Yeah, it was like right around this time.
Yeah, so right around this. She was shooting him around the same time.
But I was watching this, and I'm like, what the hell? It looks off. So if you know about movies, you know about ADR and people like dubbing things after the fact. So there's this other interesting tidbit that I saw on IMDb, and we got to talk about this because, like, I'm gonna set up the scene. Put yourself in this shoe, in her shoes, Badway. You just got done filming this movie. You're really proud of it. You take your family to the review or to the debut of this thing, and something sounds off. Something doesn't sound like your voice. So apparently, she called this a terrible movie, and apparently they redubbed all of her speaking lines by another actress.
Oof.
And she didn't find out until the actual premiere. She said something was wrong. Something was just off. And the producer, who I believe is famously Joel Silver, who's famous for producing a whole bunch of movies, later explained to her that her voice was replaced because she, quote, didn't sound intelligent enough.
Oh.
And she said this on Jon Stewart, and she goes, a Steven Seagal film, and I didn't sound intelligent enough?
Yeah, you gotta let it slide, right?
Dude, like, come on.
Okay. No,
messed up.
I'm in her sexy shoes, right? So I'm on her side and saying that's kind of a jerk thing to say. And was it really that bad?
No.
But what if it was?
I mean, we'll never know. Is there a
what if it was
cut?
unusable? Couldn't they bring her back?
But what is
to redo the lines?
Enough? Yeah, they should have her redo
Just
them.
call her back to redo the lines.
Hey, you know what? I didn't like the way you said it here.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, was this the director or was this Silver
can't-
coming pulling strings?
I can't imagine just going to see the movie I was just in and realizing it's not my voice. Oh, I would be mortified.
It's like it's the equivalent of Johnny Drama getting cut from the movie when he thinks he's going to be in it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they cut me from the movie, bro.
Oh man,
like what the hell, man? It's messed up.
Yeah,
I feel bad
it
for
is.
her.
You got to call her back. Like if it's unusable, like why can't you just call her back?
And she obviously
It's somebody else
was somebody that was on her way up in her career too. She's very famous and a good actress. So clearly they were wrong on that one, but man, maybe they weren't.
So maybe Wayne Campbell was the producer on that, and he was like, I know it's a small part, but we could do better than this.
I forgot like that I actually used that sound effect in one of our early episodes. It might have been one of these, and I'm just too lazy to put it in now. So I need to finally get a soundboard.
That was a real life situation where I know it's a small part, but we can do better than this.
She wasn't in it much. I mean, what did she do? Do a little bit of like videotaping of some things. She showed some cameras. She probably
showed
only
up
had
on the street one time. Like, she wasn't really a major part of the movie.
She probably had about 10 lines, I think, in the movie. It wasn't a lot, but I mean, come on, still, it's kind of messed up that happened.
It is. All right, so we got a rated R Steven Seagal movie, so there's got to be some bodies hitting the floor, right?
Some blood, gore.
So if I were to tell you that in the entire film there were 38 kills, would you believe me?
It seems high.
It does seem high.
Then I remember the opening scene, right?
The opening scene on the bridge is the majority of those kills with 20. Now Seagal had 9. Chief Hinges?
Hinges.
Whatever.
Is it Silent H?
Whatever. Duke.
Bill
He
Duke.
had 2. DMX had 3. And various cops and whatnots, on the bridge. We're responsible for about 20 of them. What did you think about the overall gunplay and violence of this movie? Were you underwhelmed, overwhelmed, aside from the cool DMX belt shotgun situation?
That's definitely the coolest. Yeah. But there's guys shooting up gas canisters. That's pretty cool. There's guys getting stabbed in the neck with a poison needle and still driving without stopping. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Shout out to Seagal for dodging a bullet by the sound of the guy pulling the trigger, right? Imagine the reflexes on a guy. He's getting his car. He's getting his car. It really is the Flash. He's in the middle of getting his car jacked and he just beats up 10 street thugs at once. Dodges a bullet and then does like kind of a kip up ensiguri to the back of the guy's head, which is like an athletic feat that can only be done with slow motion and wires. that I stood up and I cheered when I saw it. I loved it so much. Like that's the Seagal I know.
Yeah, that was actually awesome. And the other one that I liked was I liked it, but I didn't like it was when he smashed the bouncer's throat with a chain and knocks him through a window. Like he just rolls up into a club and just starts wrecking the place.
I mean, if that's not the definition of police brutality, what is?
Yeah, he was on the job. I mean, I guess he was moonlighting at that point. But I mean, there's the one we pulled in the beginning was movieBodyCounts.com. That All Out of Bubblegum had another kill. It had 39, but he also was shooting helicopters, and maybe we can just jump into him, right? And we talk a little bit about that beginning scene. But you got Officer Orrin Boyd. He's saving the vice president, Badway, and he's shooting helicopters with pistols.
He's a hero.
So
you know when Patrick Bateman shot the helicopter with a pistol, and it was like almost seems surreal.
Yes,
like that's the kind of ridiculousness.
That's what this was.
Yeah.
So let's set the scene up for everybody. He's a cop, and he shows up to this thing for the vice president speaking about, I guess, new gun laws or something. That's coming
gun
in.
violence and keeping guns out of children's hands, that kind of thing. Which, I mean, here we are 21 years later, still dealing with it.
Yeah, and
VP was right.
So he winds up getting into this giant gunfight on a bridge because.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because before we get into the ridiculousness of him saving the VP,
Yeah.
Can we talk about how he rolled up to the VP's speech and astonishingly late, right?
There's like 2 minutes left.
He butts through everyone that's sitting down to find his seat. And like, imagine walking through a movie and going to the climax of the movie and then trying to find your seat, walking through everybody. Excuse me. That's him. So then he sits down. The guy says in the speech, says his last sentence. Everybody claps. He stands up and is the first one to leave. So it's like, why? Like, you're so late. Such a dick move to even show up.
It was
just
politics,
don't show up,
man. He even says to the boss, "I didn't vote for him." Did you catch that line?
Do you know what? Do you know the context of that? He goes, yeah, you saved him, but what if it had gone the other way? What if your actions would have killed the VP? He goes, well, I didn't vote for him, so who cares? Damn, Oren.
And this guy's about gun control, and he what he's about. He's about loaded weapons and just taking guys out at clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And that was the other thing. The other thing that was awkward is they said he slimmed down. He changed his wardrobe. He did change his wardrobe. He shows up in a 3-button suit.
Yeah.
Looking weird as hell. I've never seen him in a suit.
And you know what? He never looked thinner, man. He looked thinner. He should be in more suits because he looked good. As soon as he went onto the button down, you can see the gut again.
You're going to like the way he looks, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
That's the Men's Warehouse. Got the guy for him, man.
Yeah, the Men's Warehouse really suited him up.
So the vice president is trying to I guess they're trying to murder him or abduct him. I don't even know what the hell's going on. These guys are showing up in cars. Yeah. This scene, I get that it was in the movie, and I read something about it where they basically added this in after the fact. They thought it was cool. It was something that Joel Silver wanted to put in something else, and it didn't work, so they put it in this instead. Do you think it fit the movie? I liked it. I mean, I thought it was a cool scene, but did it feel a little weird?
Yes, it felt weird. No, it didn't fit the movie. Am I glad it's in? Yes.
Yes, I agree.
It was a welcome addition.
So he winds up knocking the vice president. He saves his life, but he knocks him off the bridge after this epic gunfight.
Threw him off the bridge.
Yeah.
As the guy, he's falling. I can't swim.
Was that a smart move? Would you have done that?
Sure. Well, they could just like lean over and shoot, couldn't they? But
that's true, right? I mean,
if Raymond Seagal was in the middle of dispatching all of them anyway, so
if Raymond Kalitri can shoot falling down, he can shoot.
You can shoot someone pointing down. It's easier than you falling, shooting up. That's harder to do.
If guys falling, right? Yeah. And I don't want to do math and physics here, but
please,
if he shoots, if they shoot the bullet down, does it go faster?
Of course it does. There's gravity is working for you.
Does it go
wind
faster?
Resistance? Shooting up, you got to deal with the wind resistance. I mean, if Seagal can dodge a bullet at level length, straight on horizontal, he most certainly could dodge a bullet if it's shooting up. Shooting down, he might get nipped in the ear. He move his head just a little late.
A little bit more wind, a little bit more resistance.
But if we're talking about an amateur gunfighter such as the vice president, he'd be dead in an instant. He'd be dead.
I tell you, there was a lot of goons in the scene, guys in box trucks and food trucks.
Can we talk about how when Seagal stole the, I don't know if it was a snack truck or something like that.
Food truck.
It was like a food truck, and he put the hat on. He put the worker's hat on. That's totally unnecessary.
But see, that's the little touches that make
things.
These kind of movies so good, because he didn't need to wear the hat.
The hat on. Yes.
I kept thinking, like, every time we watch a movie, the whole time I'm watching a movie, I'm thinking, like, what are we going to make as the cover picture? What are we going to make as the cover picture? And that's like the one that came to my mind right away.
That could be it.
So that's him as the traffic cop. So let's set this up for people. So he gets suspended because they said that he should have stayed his ass out of this.
Yeah.
Was this suspension justified? What did he actually do?
So he did save the vice president. Had he not intervened, what's the percentage of chances the vice president's dead?
100%.
You think 100? It's not like 90.
Were they going to ransom him? Or was it they were going to murder him?
I feel like they were going to murder him.
Because I guess they want the legislation gun.
Yeah, the legislation. So like, I feel like they were closing in on like Like that, his Secret Service vehicle was was slowly being closed in on. So had Seagal not intervened, he would have been surrounded on all sides. It would have been a matter of time before it would have been over.
Let me tell you something, man. I don't know if these criminals know, but this is a flawed plan. They're going to kill the vice president so that legislation doesn't pass.
Yeah.
I got a news for you, buddy. There's 100 senators. There's like however many representatives. And by the way, there's the president too, that this guy probably is going to pass the same legislation. Sorry, guys. You failed.
Yeah,
you failed.
Do you not know how government works, guys?
I mean, come on. They didn't take government and politics back in high school here. It's like this guy is not, they're not going to single-handedly stop the legislation by kidnapping the vice president. In fact, they're proving the point more by using the guns.
By using the guns. Hey, we got to get rid of these guns.
They're going to start, fight fire with fire here, I guess.
But really, his main argument was guns in children's hands. That's
true.
So really, there was no children involved here.
No, not that we know of.
No. So these people that are trying to take out the president, they're pro children with guns.
Yeah,
so they want more guns in children's hands.
Give the kids guns.
Yeah,
they need them.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think he should have been justified? Like, do you think he should have been suspended? I don't think he should.
No, because I think whatever it takes to get the job done. How many civilians did you kill? And if the answer is 0, then you did the right thing. Now, if you killed 9 terrorists or bad guys or assassins, those people, I mean, that's like the rules of engagement for a war, right? That's like those guys were asking for it. That's self-defense.
They should have promoted him to head of Secret Service.
Yeah. And it's like, it's past self-defense. It's defense of, a high-ranking government official.
Yeah.
Totally
saved
justified.
Him. All those Secret Service guys got mowed down like stooges.
All right. So did he get suspended because he saved the president in a violent fashion, or did he get suspended because he threw him over the bridge?
Probably because of the bridge. The guy was probably annoyed.
If he never threw him over the bridge, does he not lose his job?
Maybe he
does
gets
everything else except throwing him off the bridge. And he doesn't have a history.
Yeah, well, that's true. We got to talk about that. He doesn't have a history
of violence.
We got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Starring Viggo Mortensen. Let's talk about his history of violence. I agree with you, by the way. I think if he doesn't go off the bridge, he doesn't get suspended, and they say, job well done.
It wasn't like, it wasn't the George Washington. Like, it was fine. It was
George Washington.
I don't know. What did you think it was? Like 30 feet?
Fine. It was fine. The guy, he couldn't swim, but come on.
And the Coast Guard was right there.
They're right there.
They were right there.
They should have had people down there anyway.
And you know what? Isn't it like, the guy's a high-ranking government official? Like, if the Earth, let alone the United States, it's surrounded by water, right?
Right.
It's a hazard for a guy that powerful to not know how to swim.
They should probably teach him.
Probably teach a guy how to swim.
You know what? You might want to take swimming lessons here. Take him to the YMCA.
I mean, if you're plus 40 and you don't know how to swim, like what's going on?
Come on, you got to learn.
Come on, it's a basic survival technique.
I question what Frank Daniels is doing here, because he's like, you should have never even been on that bridge. This guy's too worried about Van Damme coming back from his time machine roller coaster to worry about what Seagal just did here. But you mentioned a history of violence. We got to talk about this guy.
Yeah.
So a lot of Seagal's movies deal with him being either not a crooked cop. I would say maybe somebody that has some methods that maybe are not conventional.
He doesn't follow the rules.
He doesn't follow the rules. We've done what we said. This is the 5th movie now at this point with him. Is this his worst policing job? Well, forget the acting job, but like, is this his worst policing job? Like, what kind of guy is he? Because we don't get much backstory.
Probably, because if you remember, a lot of his other movies, there's a personal reason to why he's doing what he's doing in these movies. He's being overly violent in these other movies. He's just flat out murdering henchmen, shooting legs off of henchmen, smacking people in the face with pool balls out of revenge and just rage, right? He has no revenge or rage in this game.
Stealing hot dogs.
He's just mad that he got demoted.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I mean, would you want to be a traffic cop? I don't think I would.
No.
After you've been saving the vice president?
No, of course not. So we have no real backstory of this guy other than the fact that he is violent and he is a rule breaker. So to me, that just screams just bad cop.
Yeah.
Like, not dirty cop, not crooked cop, but not good policeman.
I think they even there was a quote at one point where they said he had 3 excessive force complaints already in the year.
Yeah.
Which, whatever that could be. So
yeah.
He murdered a bouncer in the club we talked about already. In cold blood in front of the hundreds of witnesses.
Short
just rolled
fuse.
up in there.
Short fuse.
I lost count of how many times he pulled his side piece out on people, including his partner when he woke up from a nap.
He's just waving his gun in public everywhere and anywhere. Yeah.
He pulls his gun out.
Okay. So he had nobody's out to get him personally, right? In this movie. But he still sleeps with his gun under his pillow.
On a boat.
With loaded with one in the chamber.
Yeah.
So what kind of paranoid son of a bitch sleeps with a loaded gun under your pillow?
And how many people has he killed off screen that we don't even know about? That just maybe not the pizza boy delivering a pizza. Somebody delivering a pizza.
Yeah.
He's getting DoorDash. Somebody comes in.
We don't want to get political in here. No, it's not even political. It's just kind of like the way things are. But you talk about a policeman with an itchy trigger finger just based off of fear. I mean, that's like this is it right here. This is who we're talking about.
Didn't they send Michael Douglas's character to like the shrink when you get into like some violence? Like he could use the psychiatric help here, you know?
Yeah. I think anger management was the wrong course. It was not the right course he needs. It
enraged him more.
Yeah.
He got angrier.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He's pulling his gun on people. He's eating people's dinner off their dinner plate. There's a bunch of other crimes that he had. He was shooting at people in the club too. Like he was doing a whole bunch of other things. Like I'm pretty sure he was shooting people no matter what. He's just chasing guys down.
Yeah. When he first met Anthony Anderson, when Anthony Anderson was looking at the binoculars trying to look at the deal, Seagal has nothing to go on here. Like for all we know, I mean, Anthony Anderson said he was peeping on his girlfriend, thinks he's cheating on her, which is a valid,
great excuse.
It's a great excuse. And Seagal just takes his binoculars and breaks them, slaps the cuffs on him. What's the crime? Is there a crime for peeping?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's the opposite of indecent exposure. Like, what is it? I guess
I don't know.
Maybe
didn't read him his rights. Cuffed him to his grill. I mean, that right there. I mean, Anthony Anderson got off easy. I think it could have been a lot worse.
Hey, you know what?
Could have been a lot worse.
He deserved getting his grill ripped off with that car that he's driving around the Dodge Ram with the sticker still in the window.
Probably stole it off the lot. and told the dealer, you say anything, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk. We're gonna get back to some of his other stuff in a second, but where does Oren Boyd rank against some of the other Seagal character names? We did a couple movies. Like, where do you? Because I think it's one of the worst. And I know this is based on a book.
We had this conversation a long time ago, maybe back freaking 5-6 years ago, when in this infancy of this podcast of Seagal's names of his characters. Oren is definitely the worst, right? Like by far the worst. I'm partial to Gino Felino personally.
It's so good.
And Casey Ryback, and we can't forget Casey's Dockside Bistros. That I'd love to visit one day. I'm sure it's in New Orleans somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know. What about you?
My personal favorite is Mason Storm. I mean, that's just this is a great name. Yeah. And you can't beat that one. And I know it's unintentionally hilarious, but Forrest Taft on Deadly Ground is a good one too. But my favorite is either John Hatcher or Mason Storm. Yeah. But I can see why you'd like Gino Felino.
Gino Felino was
that's one of the best ones.
Yeah.
So we mentioned a little bit about his living situation. We didn't get much of a background, but I got to ask you, he had this houseboat that it looked like one of the Tiny House Nation like houseboats. It looked like it was done up really nice. Mm-hmm. How does a houseboat work? Because I've seen them in movies where they're typically like in New Orleans or they're more on the water or something like that. This looked like it was in some pretty rocky waters here. Like, is he seasick constantly, or is he just what's going on with this?
There's no way I could deal with that.
Could you live in that
as a living situation? But I gotta question the rockiness, because like is Lake Michigan really that rocky?
I don't.
Like it's a lake.
The wind.
It's a great bad? Lake. I don't know, but like it just seems like I don't need my house moving while I'm trying to sleep.
Does he rent this place? Like, does he drive it around? Like, can you drive the houseboat somewhere? Does he take it somewhere else?
Like, what property do you own? Like, do you own the docking? You got to rent, space? I guess. It's the parking space, right?
That's like an RV, I guess. Yeah. Sort of. I don't know.
Let me ask you this: do you think he has a waterbed? How funny would that be? Like, if you have a boat and then on the boat you get a waterbed, so you're like double rocking.
Or does it cancel out the movement?
Or does it if you get it to flow the right way, it would be like, sleeping on clouds, right?
Yeah, you got the best sleeping situation because the rockiness of the water is canceled out by the reverse rockiness. It's like when the two waves hit each other, when they combine each other, like the sound waves.
Has anyone ever thought of water pillows? Is that a thing? Because I feel like that would be great.
I don't know. Like, does it?
I want to sleep on a pillow of water.
It just seems like you put your head in a bucket or something.
No, you'll be dry. You'll be dry.
Imagine you drown in the middle of the night because your water pillow leaks. It's like, oh man, how did Badway die? He drowned from his pillow.
his water pillow sprung a leak. Drowned in the middle of the night. It was a tragedy. It was a real tragedy. Didn't see it coming.
It's like, I told him not to get that water pillow. I told him that was dangerous.
It's like, what do they say on social media? Like, how do you tell me it's 3 a.m. without telling me it's 3 a.m.? It's this conversation.
Us having water pillows.
Yeah.
So let's talk about him and his boss. You heard the weird sexual chemistry in the beginning of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, is this his doing? What's going on?
I don't know. I liked his boss, and she wasn't in it enough. I feel.
Yeah, she was underused.
And do you think maybe she was in it more and some scenes were deleted?
Is this the first one where he doesn't have a love scene?
Yeah. And I think that he creeped her out. And that's probably what happened. And they had to cut or rewrite some of the movie to write out the sexual chemistry or the love story, right?
Yeah.
Because it seemed like the seeds were planted, but they never went forward with it to the point where the lady, she died, and it really didn't even have to happen. And
it didn't even matter, really.
She died because she drove into the back of another car, which happened a lot in this movie. There's a lot of cars banging into the back of other cars from car chases.
Is this like, how everyone has sort of like a signature move? Is this what what's the guy's name? Andrzej, God, I can't even pronounce it. Bartowik. I'm butchering this guy's name, but is this his move? It's a signature move of how people die in a movie. Cars
slamming into parked cars from car chases,
and an airbag inflating 5 seconds after the crash is over.
See, she was unlucky because she just went head on and the car stopped, and she wasn't wearing her seatbelt, right? Yeah. Most cars, they in this movie anyway, they ram into the back of the car that's parked, and they jump up and they flip.
That's true.
And they go airborne. This one didn't go airborne.
There was a lot of flipping, exploding cars in this too, especially during that chase. Well, let me ask you before we move on from her, do you think that she was dirty too? They said she was internal affairs. Was she dirty?
No, she was clean. You can tell she was clean. Yeah, totally clean. She was in it for the work. She was all about the work.
I was wondering about that because they really left it open-ended. You didn't really find out.
If internal affairs is dirty, then who can you trust, Drew?
But what if she was the inside person on the internal affairs to find out what's going on?
I would assume that everyone's dirty if I was a clean cop. I wouldn't trust you. You can't trust anybody.
They're gonna get you, man.
They're gonna get you. You can't. That's why it's like the Brotherhood. You can't squeal on your fellow cop. It's because you just can't do it.
Well, I mean, let me say something about this movie. This movie was like, how they make jokes about double cross and then a double of the double cross and a quadruple cross and a quintuple cross. The end of this movie and the way that it unfolded, it was like double cross after double cross after double cross. I was fully expecting her to be bad. It wouldn't have surprised me at this point because everyone else turned bad. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. What about the one clean guy, the other clean cop, besides Bill Duke, George Clark, played by Isaiah Washington? Where would you rank him as a sidekick?
See, he was too good of a guy to be teamed up with a dude like Oren. And I feel bad for this guy, and I especially feel bad at the end of the movie when what's his name? Duke? What's his name?
Bill Duke?
Bill Duke. I always forget his first name.
Duke.
He goes, all right, Oren, you can come back. And he goes, no, I think I'm gonna stay here. And that Isaiah Washington under Beth was going, shit.
I thought
he thought he got rid of him. And now he's like, no, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna be your partner.
Yo,
this guy's going to get him killed.
He is going to get him killed. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Poor baby and wife.
Not more than 3 or 4 hours prior, he rolls up into his place and he's like, we got to take care of this. As he's holding the baby.
Yeah.
Now, again, choice on the writers and the directors for making that baby as a prop. They like make you feel bad for this guy, and the wife is like, "Damn it, give me the baby."
Yep.
This guy's rolling up into a death wish.
Yep. So the two things are going to happen because Seagal is his partner, Rid or whoever. He's either going to die or he's going to get his ass divorced because he's going to pull him out of bed at 2 a.m. too many times, and eventually the wife's not going to have it anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think that he was used enough as much as Max was from Marked for Death. So I don't think that he was as good of a, maybe he was a good character.
Max was like all-time sidekick. He was down. He was down for whatever.
Yeah. Anytime you get Keith David in a movie.
Keith David was down for, we're going to kill this guy? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we got to get him.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let's talk about DMX for a second. So Latrell Walker, great name. You mentioned this.
So we didn't plan this. So today we're recording April 9th into April 10th, the morning of, is exactly the 1 year anniversary of the death of DMX, so RIP DMX. We did not plan for this to be a 1 year anniversary of his death. It just so happened to be that way. And DMX is definitely a flawed figure of like great guy, also, a drug addict and a man of many arrests, but from his family and friends that knew him, he was a nice soul, right? And he definitely fostered my love for rap and hip hop in the late 90s and early 2000s. And I thought he was one of, if not the best rapper turned actor that we've seen, like in the history. It's him and it's Tupac. I think both of those guys are up there. I'm not even counting Ice Cube because I think that's a different kind of actor. He's been in more movies, he's made more money, but I wouldn't call him a better actor than DMX or Tupac. But it's just a shame because DMX wasn't able to act much longer after this movie just because of his drug problems and his arrests and his struggle with life.
Yeah.
So really after like the year 2004, 2005, he kind of became unreliable probably in the eyes of Hollywood.
I thought he was good in this.
Yeah.
He was really good.
So he was really good in this movie, Never Die Alone, which came out, I believe, it was either a limited release or it might have been direct to DVD, but it was really good. It came out in 2004.
I never saw that one.
Yeah, and that was kind of his last, like, major, quote-unquote major movie. And he was in other stuff after that, but he would never really got the roles that he could have seen, had he had a cleaner life.
I'm pretty sure he was in a 2019 movie with Seagal, right? Where they put One Last Ride together, I think it was. I forgot what the movie was.
Beyond the Law.
Direct-to-video one, yeah.
Beyond the Law, yeah. I didn't see that one, but
I never saw it. Not great.
At that point of Seagal's career, I'm kind of out on,
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought he did a great job in this, and I thought that, I don't know, it made me miss him because he was a great rapper. Not so much his rhymes, but his storytelling and his emotion. And that's kind of what it was. And his emotion played into his acting. It's like it seemed easy for him because he's able to channel his emotions. And he's not afraid to show his emotions on his albums. He's cried on his albums. He's cried in concert. Like he's not afraid of that. And I think that's, if you're able to do that, then acting's probably easy for you. And it was probably easy for him.
I liked him a lot in this movie. I thought he played a good character. He did a good job acting. And, I thought the character itself was actually kind of interesting. And it's been a while since I've seen this. I saw it in the theater. And I kind of forgot like the twist and turn that the thing took. And I knew where it was going to wind up, but I forgot how it got there. And I just think, I'm not going to blame this on DMX. I'm blaming this on the book and the writers. But I think that his plan to save his brother is just a little flawed. Don't you?
Right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a little flawed.
Interesting to say the least.
Do you think that it would have worked? And why not? Because I know it wouldn't.
No. I'll tell you exactly why it wouldn't have worked. Is because if you're a civilian, even if your intentions are good, if your idea is to make drug deals to frame undercover cops into showing that they're not undercover, that they're actually dirty. The problem with that is even if the cops are dirty, you still, as a civilian, are dealing those drugs.
Yeah.
You can't just say, oh, just kidding, I was doing it to bust these guys. You don't have a government signed, document stating that you're doing this not for profit, but you have to be an employee of the government, right?
That's the flaw.
Yeah. So even if he catches these guys, he's still committing these crimes.
He is.
Even if he can say until he's blue in the face, guys, I don't want these. Trust me. I don't want the money. I don't want the drugs. I did this all for good intentions to get my brother out. No, it doesn't work that way.
And not to mention the fact that the cop can just say, well, I was undercover. I'm dirty. It's like Departed, right? It's like 6 layers of I'm in deep.
Those videos do nothing really because the cops could just say, "Oh, I'm undercover." They all died.
Yeah,
they can't.
Nobody's talking.
Yeah, right.
They're not gonna find the real kingpin, which is the vice president.
Yeah,
but I think the plan was just flawed, in my opinion. Yeah. And I don't think that it made. I get what he's doing. I mean, he's trying to save his brother.
But like, what can you do if your brother was framed for these drug deals, and you're a millionaire, and like you gotta like, what can you do?
What if he just
do something drastic? I guess
you gotta buy a better lawyer, man. Get the best lawyer you can. The guy had what 999.com.
Yeah, 999.com.
That's like,
who'd have thought?
It's a pretty big deal having 999.com back then.
It's like stamps.com.
He's the original like, Jeff Bezos.
It's like son of a bitch.
Exactly. Man. So I mean, what if the cops were undercover the whole time? Yeah. I just say it's a flawed plan. Yeah, and I don't.
I was going to say about the cops being undercover. How about when Seagal first busted in and like we didn't know that the cops were dirty yet, and that Italian cop was fighting him with Mantini was fighting him with the handsaw.
Yeah,
it's like that's a hell of a stretch. Oh, you're undercover. Are you sure you're undercover when you were coming at me with a handsaw?
By the way, dumb move to go at some guy with a circular saw because. You're going to probably cut yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? I probably cut myself cutting a piece of wood, not fighting Steven Seagal with it.
That's how, what's that main artery in your leg? Like, that's how you cut that. This is like you swing and you miss and then you hit yourself.
Let's say you dropped it on your foot.
Yeah.
It's like you cut your foot off. Yeah. Like I that was very dangerous. And chicken wire fence is not going to stop you from that saw. Very dangerous.
Before we move on, I just wanted a quick shout out that DMX's brother in this movie, it's Drag On.
Yeah, that's right.
Another great rapper who kind of fell off after a little bit. He was part of the Rough Riders. Just wanted to throw that out there.
I thought he was pretty good too.
Yeah.
I thought he did a good job.
Yeah.
I'm surprised these guys didn't get more acting roles, like you said, because I thought they were decent.
Yep.
Another small part in the movie, we touched on it earlier, and we don't have to spend a ton of time. And I don't mean to like gloss over his crew, but we only have so much time we can talk. We got to get to the villain scale in a second. But Tom Arnold and TK. So you mentioned Anthony Anderson earlier.
Yes.
Tom Arnold. Do you think they were properly used in the movie? I mean, I guess there's only so much screen time.
They're the same guy, aren't they? Kind of.
They are.
Yeah. They're both really funny guys. They're both fast talking. They're both a little overweight, jolly guys. Yeah. Both smart asses. Yeah. No, I thought they were. And I would have liked to see more Tom Arnold, but I understand the character that he was. Like, he didn't have a reason to be attached at Seagal's hip throughout the movie. It would have been fun if he was. But, yeah, sure. I thought they were. I thought the end credit scene was awesome.
That was hilarious.
Where they were just basically ad-libbing. They were basically ad-libbing on the TV show. Yeah.
How much footage did we not see that was
that
wasn't there?
I'm sure if you could search on YouTube, I bet there's like a 20-minute deleted scene of just them riffing. That I would totally watch that.
Nothing will beat Tom Arnold in True Lies like we talked about, but I thought he was. I was glad he was in this. Put it that way. I just kind of wish he was in it more. Yeah.
If you're gonna cast a funny guy to just be nervous and quick talking, he's perfect guy. Perfect guy for that.
So let's get to the villain scale here.
Controversial.
We got a controversial ruling here. You're gonna be the judge because I'm not gonna. You can't trust me.
I think I know what I want, but yeah, so I hate when this happens. But this happens from time to time when we don't know who the real villain is. So why don't you lay it out for us?
Yeah. So there's really a couple guys that we could put in here. So Strut is Michael Jai White, and again, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie, it's 20 years old at this point, but. Strut is played by Michael Jai White, winds up being sort of, what does he say? The devil convinced you he isn't real.
Can we stop using that line, please?
Yeah.
That's like, enough of that line.
That's like, I don't know. It's like the cheesiest line. It's like, what do you call it? Like armchair philosophy or something?
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
What's the definition of insanity, Drew?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing. It's the
Let's
same.
Get this out of movies.
Yeah, can we just get those two things out of movies? Those two sayings.
So you got Strut, who really is the mastermind behind this. But then you get Frank Daniels. We mentioned that the TEC enforcement lead, whatever, from Time Cop. Go listen to our Van Damme episode. Frank Daniels. This guy is really the mastermind. And they have a fight with each other. He's like, no, I'm the one in charge, not you bozos or whatever the heck he said. Who do you think is actually the villain of this, and how should we score it?
So the rule goes, if you have to argue that you are, in fact, the one in charge, you are not in charge, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they say, like, in a movie, God damn it, I'm the president of the United States. If you have to shout that 100 times,
Yeah.
There was a recent former president that used to say that all the time. And it's, is he really have power? I don't know. If you have to keep screaming it, then I don't think you have power. And I think that's the case with Frank Daniels. He shows up way late in the movie and like, oh, by the way, I was in on it the whole time. He even pointed the gun at Seagal in like the most like awkward and like nervous way ever to make me think this guy's not in it. He's not in it for the long haul. So I'm going to go with Michael Jai White because I hate when a movie just puts a guy in the last 10 minutes of the movie. Oh, all along, like he wasn't in it at all except for the beginning and the end. Like who cares if he's in on it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The other thing that you mentioned, he shows up with a feeble holding the gun.
Yeah.
I laughed my ass off when he shows up and Seagal's like, you didn't bring any backup? And he looks so guilty as hell. And he's just standing there like, here, it's like, put on this vest, give him all this stuff. And he's just standing there kind of like, oh, I didn't trust anybody. It's like he had that guy. I mean, give credit to the actor.
Yeah.
He played the I'm guilty as hell on his face when he showed up.
I hate to tear the movie apart, like plot wise, right? But how about the fact that this Frank Daniels knows that Seagal is being transferred to this precinct?
Yes.
Don't you think that he would have at least given a heads up to Michael Jai White since they're in it together on this drug deal thing? Hey, you gotta watch out for this guy Oren. He's coming over. He's bad news. He's gonna snuff you out. So you better take care of this guy early before he screws you up late.
Well, I was going to ask you earlier because I didn't know if it was Bill Duke sending him because he's the commissioner, I guess, or whatever the heck his title was, or if it was Frank Daniels who actually sent him there because they were like, oh, we're punishing him. We're sending him to the 15th precinct or whatever it was.
I feel like it had to have been Duke's call because if it had been Daniels, then it's the dumbest thing of all time.
I mean, you're right.
I feel like it was Daniels giving him the news that Duke had handed down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have made zero sense for Daniels to send a loose cannon, play by no rules guy that would absolutely snuff out dirty cops into the precinct. He would never do that intentionally if he in fact was dirty.
He smells his own smell there.
Yeah.
It's like,
but
yeah. So,
but to tie it all up, Michael Jai White is the main villain because he did the move. He did the move where he was in the seat and then he turned around slowly to reveal himself as the bad guy in the middle of the movie. That's the boss move.
Let's put him through the scale. So if you're new to the show, we got 4 categories: on a scale of 1 to 5, look style, hideout / layer, plan, and henchman, and possibly a bonus point for ruthlessness. So X out of 20. Let's see what Strut, aka Michael Jai White, winds up with. So tell me about his look and his style.
It's a 5, right?
It's got to be
because let's just put this out there. He's a good looking man.
Yeah.
He looks great in a suit. He looks great when he's fighting dudes. He looks great in a towel in the shower scene. Like the guy he's just a good looking man who's totally fit, knows karate. His skin's too tight. We've touched on that.
Have you seen traps that high? His traps like went above the top of his head. That's how high they were.
Yeah. He takes his job very seriously, and his job is to look like a machine.
Is he just shoulder shrugging all day? Just like shoulder shrugging everything he's got? It's got to be a 5. And he had some awesome outfits.
Every day is shoulder day. Every day.
I know he had some good accessories too. Like he grabbed the sword. Like I don't know if that was him or Seagal. Yeah. He had good guns.
Yep.
I mean, I can't wait till we get to the plan because I think it's genius. By the way, this might. I don't know if this might break the scale, man. I think Terry Silver
unintentionally, yeah.
What Terry Silver we did on Ken's show, I believe, he was like a 19 out of 20. This is it's going to be getting close. So,
well, I mean, he might have some. We'll see.
What about his hideout or his lair?
See, it makes sense on a practicality base, being in the textile factory for him needing like t-shirts and whatnot.
They're making shirts, right? That's what they're doing.
But again, like, and this might be, out of kayfabe, the set designer's fault that it looks like crap.
I mean, they rolled those things in from the club scene.
It's not a great setting for a fight or a climax of a movie. I'm gonna go 2, 3 at the most. I'll give you a ruling.
Let's go 2.
You're gonna go 2? Okay.
I mean, it's good that it was hidden and he had people there,
and it made sense.
Yes,
but it wasn't cool, right? And that's what we're kind of looking for here.
His back room had a hell of a lot of windows, didn't it? Letting you see what was actually going on.
Too many windows.
So if he didn't have it, maybe if it was a sealed off back room with no windows, I give him the 3.
Yeah.
But because you could peek right into like the drug powder going into the shirts,
Yeah.
and those workers,
Hey, what's going on
knew
in
what was
there?
up.
Looks like they're doing drugs in there.
Are they diluting drugs and so they're putting them into the fabric?
Hey, Johnny, come here. Like, this is a great idea. Look at them do this. Yeah.
So you got to go too, because it's too obvious what's going on back there.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: maybe this is, I don't know if this is part of the plan, but the way that he pretended that he didn't like Montini and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the charisma of his plan. We'll get to that in a second.
I mean,
but
I knew right away in the shower scene or the taser scene that this is a bad guy who's acted nice.
Yeah.
Like, but that's like a good thing. Like, he's doing a good job.
You don't get Michael Jai White to just be random guy who's going to be like, hey, man, they're just hazing you, buddy. And then he disappears.
Unless he was his flat out partner, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He should have been the partner. That would have, man,
that would have been
twist.
Awesome. That would have been awesome.
What a twist. That would have been a good one.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the plan, because I got to tell you, like, it's one of the more sophisticated plans of any movie that we've done.
Please break the plan down for me, because it's 7 a.m. and I forgot.
So these guys, and there's a really detailed description that they give about this, but they're trying to get DMX to traffic heroin. And he's thinking, like, how am I going to traffic all of this product? So they are soaking t-shirts from the textile factory in heroin, and then they're like drying it up so that it's soaked and seeped into the shirt. And then they're vacuum shrink wrapping the shirts so that and apparently it's undetectable by drug sniffing dogs. They're in the shirts, and then they're going to send these things wherever he wants in the country so that then they can then extract the heroin from the shirt.
Right.
Have you ever gone to like Subway or something? You go into Subway, you walk in there and you walk out and you smell like the smell of Subway. Yeah. Is this how this works? It's like, is that what it is? They're like aerating it into the shirt. Like, this is a genius plan. If this works.
Yeah. And it's just a shame that they're dealing with a guy who's trying to take them down. Because had this been an on the level criminal on criminal enterprise, yes, they could have gone on for years. Take this to Shark Tank. They could have made $1 billion. I think if it was legal to invest in heroin trafficking, I can tell you for a fact that Mark Cuban and all those guys
would
be fighting over it. Yeah, we'll give you $5 million up front for 10% of the company.
Somebody get a patent out on this. Come on, I mean, this is a great idea. Yeah. This has to be a 5. Yeah. It has to be. They get caught, so maybe it's not a 5. Yeah. But on paper, have we had a plan as good as this besides M. Bison creating his own
it's
town?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty damn good. I mean, maybe because they're cops, they could have done a little background check into DMX to find out that oh he's the brother of this guy we set up. Like, maybe they could have. And I know that DMX was very good at covering his tracks of like not showing who he was. Like, his identity was hidden.
Computer genius.
They're cops though. Like, come on, let's do our due diligence. But they're dumb cops. Yeah,
so, but if this guy was the owner of 999.com, like, they can't change his picture. I mean, he'd be famous. It's like if you don't know who Jeff Bezos is, it's like, Jeff Bezos changed his name. He got a visa.
That's true.
He's a pretty famous guy. It's like, you know, or like whatever the Google guys are. It's like, oh, they got a fake passport. Okay, like, come on now. It's like he's clean. But you got to go 4 or 5, right? I mean, come on. This is a genius plan.
I'm going to go 4. I'm going to only 5 because they didn't do the due diligence with who they're dealing with. But everything else was like, it's pretty genius drug plan.
I'll give it to you. That is a great plan. I mean, how this works, I have no idea, but you got to give them credit.
Yeah, I don't know the science behind it. I'm going to trust them that it's working.
What about the henchmen? There's a bunch of guys here. What do you think?
There's quantity, but is there quality?
I don't think so.
Because the big guy that had the taser battle in the locker room, he went down like a sack of potatoes pretty easily. The Italian guy was a lot of talk.
Montini.
And not a whole lot of action.
He was willing to take half of the money instead of the other half, and he was about to mess up the deal. That right there, she should get docked a point.
Yeah, but really, that's like risk mitigation. That's like, all right, you know what? It's free $2 million. Then it's a free $2 million, and then we get a new dealer and we sell the drugs.
Maybe he's the entrepreneur of the family.
If you hold on let me just, for all dirty cops out there, if you're a dirty cop and you set up these drug deals like this, what's the downside to just killing every drug dealer on every drug deal?
I guess word gets around though, right?
Will word get around though? If you just take out the criminal every time,
But then there's
You know
no
what I mean?
criminals left.
And then pocket the money every time. You're taking criminals off the streets, and you're collecting the money without distributing the drugs onto the streets.
It's like renewable energy here.
Yeah. So it's really like great police work. But they're profiting off of it, which is fine as long as the drugs are off the streets.
What's the movie with Keanu Reeves when he's a dirty cop? Is it Blue Bloods or something? Remember they had the money in the wall or whatever that was? That's sort of like that.
Shit, yeah.
They weren't really bad. They were just kind of trying to make some money. They got the take.
Yeah.
I guess you're right. It could be good policing at that point.
Just take out the drug dealer at every drug deal.
They're getting the money.
And then set up a new deal every time.
Maybe Montini was onto something here.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I mean, there's a couple other guys.
Who would be better than to hide the body or like make it look like something happened? Yeah.
They got to set up the rival gang. It's like Sopranos stuff where you get the other guys, set them up.
Yep. Absolutely.
What do you think of these other guys? They're kind of weak.
They're kind of weak. There's a lot of them. They're not that great. I think they're not totally useless because the fights did go on a little bit. DMX had to use some ingenuity there with the shotgun to get rid of Mantini. So I'm going to go maybe a 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a 2. I got a question for you, though. Like, in this final fight, and all these guys, like, how do you know who's good and who's bad? Even when Bill Duke showed up, I'm like, is he bad, too?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on.
How do you know? Yeah.
And there's cops in cop uniforms, and there's undercover cops that are playing criminals, and then there's the guys that are showing up to get them. Like, I don't know who the hell was bad at that point, and I don't even know if Seagal knew at that point.
That's why Duke couldn't be bad, and that's why
Isaiah Washington.
Yeah, that's why Isaiah Washington could be bad, and that's why the boss, not the chief, the lieutenant or whoever, the girl,
the
woman, she couldn't be bad because like you can't have too many that are bad because that makes the movie untrustworthy, right?
What if Seagal was really bad at the end?
So they're all bad. They're all. Oh, by the way, we're all in on it.
So when they were in the powder, when DMX got his face in the powder, was that heroin or was that like flour or something? Like was he all like high on that?
Was he high at the time?
Because
I feel like it was heroin.
They were shooting the bags.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys got taken out by the shotgun with a belt. It's a great move. We got to go 2. I think it's got to be a 2.
It's better than a 1, but there was a lot of them, but they didn't really do anything specific to be like, oh, that was cool.
I think, like you said, it was quantity over quality, and that's never a good thing. So let's recap for everybody. So we gave him look and styles a 5. His hideout and lair is a 2, so that's a 7. His plan is a 4. It's almost a perfect 5, so that's an 11. And then you give him a 2 for henchman. So what is that? A 13? 13 out of 20,
which is respectable
for
a throwaway Seagal movie, right?
Not
bad.
It's a pretty good one. A pretty good rating here, and I think Michael Jai White did a good job in here. Kind of underused in a way, but I guess it was for the reveal in the end of the movie.
And by the way, before we get away from the movie, shout out to DMX, his character, for doing the move where he was about to go into the spikes and he was being drugged by his coat, and he like slipped out of his coat while the rain was coming down. Yeah. And have the other like that. I thought that was an all-time escape/kill.
There was a lot of impaled deaths in this.
Both the boss and the sub boss Mantini died by impalement. Yeah. Which was maybe too many impalements, or is that just right?
You know what? You're never gonna win hanging from a helicopter ladder when you try to get away. I'm just gonna tell you.
And I mean, really, Seagal was weighing down that helicopter. I thought, like, man, like that's just perfect. He's got the right amount of weight to just hold up that whole helicopter.
What a joke! They knew what they were doing with that. They knew what they're doing with that. Yeah. I mean, you're never gonna get away. You got him on the ladders. Didn't the guy from Under Siege 2 die that way too? The nerdy computer guy?
I think he did, yeah.
So before we get out of here, we always talk about asking and maybe begging and pleading for reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and so on and so forth. We actually did get a new Apple Podcast review, and I just want to give a shout out to Angry Fly 00. It says, endlessly fun movie discussions, 5 stars. Drew and Badway have such an appealing and hilarious rapport. In every episode, they take a slightly unpolished movie gem and use their sharp wit to make it shine. It definitely makes me want to go watch all these movies again. I highly recommend this podcast. Remember how I said that I never know how to rewrite our description?
Yeah.
I think Angry Fly just wrote it for us.
Did he do it for us?
Unpolished movie gems. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll tell you what. It's a good thing Endless Fly found us now and not back in like 2018.
Yeah. When we didn't exist anymore.
If you would have wrote Endlessly and then like the podcast ended. And he's like, damn, I guess it was endless.
Right before that Heavyweights episode. It's like, man, these guys are great.
Yeah. I guess it was endless after all. No, now it's endless. Now it's endless.
Hey, every 2 weeks, I am proud of us, and I am so thankful for everyone that listens along, including Angry Fly 00. Thank you so much for taking the time to leave us a 5-star review out on Apple Podcasts. If you are enjoying the show and you haven't done so, please consider leaving us one. We'll read it on the air and say thank you to everyone. And thanks to everyone that's been listening so far. We've been having a blast with some of these movies, and we're giving you another Seagal movie. We'll be back in 2 weeks on Thursday, April 28th with our next episode. And on that note, we will see you guys then. Well, do you think they cut the ponytail off right when they started filming? They said, this doesn't look right. It looked like it was, right?
That would have been like a 7-hour conversation with Seagal. He wouldn't have just like been in the chair and said, yeah, go ahead, cut it. That had to be on legal history.
It looked freshly cut. Like he had the little bit of like, I don't know how to describe it. It was like a sort of side mullet.
Do you think there's anyone in the world whose like pubic area has a ponytail?
Like a front ponytail?
Yes, like a front. And would Seagal be the one?
He would be.
Terry Silver be the one?
Terry's too sophisticated for that, you know?
Oh.
You gotta,
Okay.
yeah, Terry's neatly maintained.